We're not talking about actors. We mean a real monster.
I brought her back. She'll live and I'll get her another body.
I know they're gonna kiss me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, Doctor, help me!
Biologically speaking, it's of primary importance that man should want to mate. Hey, that's...
You don't get all your kicks from surfing, do you?
We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
You think you're gonna make a slave of the world? I'll see you in hell first!
The American International Podcast.
Are you ready?
Thanks for joining us for the American International Podcast. I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And this week we make our penultimate stop along the Rebel Highway as we visit Episode 9, Cool and the Crazy, which originally aired on Showtime on September 16th, 1994.
Cool and the Crazy was written and directed by Ralph Bakshi and produced by Lou Arkoff, Deborah Hill, and Willie Kuttner for Showtime Network, Drive-In Classics, and American International Pictures.
Cool and the Crazy stars Alicia Silverstone as Roslyn, Jared Leto as Michael, Jennifer Blanc as Joannie, Matthew Flint as Joey, Bradford Tatum as Frankie, Christine Harnos as Lorraine.
It also stars Tuesday Night as Brenda, Christian Frizzell as Bobby, John Hawkes as Crazy, John Kapelos as Nick, the Greek diner owner, and Michael Lowry as Jack.
When the movie opens, we seem to be in a gymnasium. There's balloons hanging on the wall, so it looks like a party. Maybe it's prom night.
That's what I thought at first. And then we see a bride and groom.
So this is just a really tacky wedding.
It's not just a tacky wedding, it's a tacky double wedding because soon there's another bride and groom dancing alongside the first pair.
So this is the wedding of Michael and Roslyn and Bobby and Joannie.
They're friends. They all knew each other growing up. We find this later in some expository dialogue. They don't really go into their backstory in this movie, but apparently they're good enough friends to share a wedding and a tacky reception.
Well, it probably eases on the cost.
I'm sure it did. And it's pretty obvious from the beginning that these are both very young couples getting married.
Then we immediately cut to a shot of Michael looking at himself in the mirror and a voiceover giving a Dear Jane letter to his wife.
He has so many regrets about getting married so young and having a baby. They have a baby now. But really nothing comes of this mental dialogue.
No, I think it just shows that he's having doubts about the marriage, but he doesn't act on them immediately, as we shall see.
We next cut to teen mom Roslyn. She's sitting on the couch at home wearing a nightie. It's nighttime, and she puts on a record after shutting off the television. She's swaying alone to the music.
It's You Promised Me by George Grant and the Castells.
And then her husband comes home. Michael comes in the door and sees his wife seductively dancing, and then he starts dancing. I guess you could call it dancing.
Well, he's drunk.
He's swaying back and forth for one reason or another, but he seems to think that the way she's dancing promises a certain outcome of the evening. They're going to do it.
Are they? I thought he just fell.
Well, they were going to do it until he falls and then wakes up the baby.
And that ruins everything.
Well, the baby cries, and the baby has to be tended to.
Which ruins everything. That's the way it works.
I know. I had to. And Roslyn's mad because Roslyn also wanted some loving.
So the next day, we see Roslyn and Joannie walking down the sidewalk, each pushing a baby buggy. So they're both teen moms.
It looks like they're on the boardwalk at Venice Beach. They don't ever say Venice Beach, but they do say boardwalk. And that's what it looks like.
It looks like Venice, yeah. Joannie asks Roslyn if Michael ever came home last night. Roslyn kind of freezes.
Joanie's trying to get a conversation going about Roslyn and Michael's sex life. And Roslyn doesn't think this is a proper conversational topic. And Joannie interprets that as, no, nothing happened last night.
Joannie starts complaining about the housewife life. It just isn't for her. She tells about her mother who died at the age of 45, but she looked 100.
Joannie insinuates that she actually has something going on, only it's not with her husband, Bobby.
Roslyn is able to decode this and says, "You're having an affair, aren't you?" And Joannie confesses his name is Frankie.
And she gives a speech that I can sum up as YOLO.
Roslyn has a difficult time with this.
She's pretty straight-laced, and we can already tell that Joannie is a wild one. And now we go to work with Michael. Apparently he works in a body shop. There's some pretty cool cars in a garage, and he's doing something.
There's a woman there who works in the office, and she's smoking a cigarette.
Is it a cigarette or is it a joint? It seemed like it could be either.
She's smoking something.
She's also wearing a tank top that looks like she bought it in 1995. We're supposed to be somewhere in the 50s here.
Michael finishes up on the car he's working on. Then he goes over to Lorraine and tells her that he's got to go because this is Roslyn's night out. Lorraine asks how things are going at home, and Michael said that there was one good night, one night after Presley was on the TV.
On Ed Sullivan. And Lorraine goes on about her beatnik friends and how none of them got married at 18 and had a kid at 19. That's just not the life for them.
And then his boss comes in and tells everyone to go home because there's no overtime in this new division.
They say they're working for free, though, which good for you, I guess.
But unless they have to stay on budget.
Well, who hasn't been there?
The next scene, we see Joannie is having a night out. She's calling Roslyn at home.
She's at some sort of club dancing. It doesn't sound like sock hop music.
It's light jazz. There's a lot of light jazz in this movie.
There's a lot of light jazz that's the same song over and over again. Roslyn's not free because Michael never came home from work, so she's stuck with the baby.
So Joanie says she's going to have a drink. By yourself, Roslyn asks? And Joanie says, maybe. Then she goes to the bar where we get to meet her beau, Frankie.
And they start making out. Okay, fast forward to sometime in the future. Michael comes home from work, all excited. He got a promotion. He's going to be the floor foreman at work.
Roslyn is less excited about this because this means that though Michael will be bringing home more money, he'll be working later and he'll be more tired than he is now. And she says that maybe she can have another baby and then she can work even harder than she does now.
She's feeling imprisoned at home. She can't go out. She can't have fun. She's, 19? And she's missing all the stuff that 19-year-olds do. Because now she's a married mom and her life is over.
But Michael says that more money means that maybe one day they can have their own garage.
A lot of people want their own garage in these movies. Have you noticed?
Roslyn says that's great. Maybe one day he'll let her pump the gas, just for a change of pace.
Pretty sad when you want to do menial labor outside the home just to get away. But she does.
That night, Roslyn is sitting up in bed, lamenting to Michael about her life choices. But Michael is asleep and doesn't hear any of this.
And now we're at a malt shop where Joanie and Roslyn are sitting at the counter. We see in the background a couple thugs checking their appearance in the glass. They're combing their hair to a perfect greaser look.
They walk over to the couple, and Joanie introduces them to Roslyn. This is Frankie and his friend Joey. Joey takes Roslyn's hand and kisses it, which makes Roslyn a little uncomfortable.
She bristles at this setup. She's not interested in going for a ride with these guys. She tells Joey that she's married and that she's got to go home. She doesn't need a ride from him. She's going to catch the bus. She walks off.
But Joey says he has a great radio.
Well, good for him. Once she's gone, Joanie apologizes for her dud friend, but Joey sees this as a challenge.
Yeah, he says that's what makes it interesting. Then we catch up with Roslyn. She's sitting at a bench on a bus stop, trying to ignore the two guys hitting on her, when Joey pulls up in his white Cadillac convertible and offers Roslyn a lift.
She's not interested at first, but he promises to be on his best behavior and to not even say anything on the way.
And this is enough to convince her to get into his car.
Well, it's probably the lesser of two evils at this point, at least as far as she knows.
That evening, Joanie and Roslyn are dressed up for a night out. It looks like they're at a park, but I guess they're in their front yard.
The locations are kind of suspect in this movie. They're primping, trying to make themselves look good, pushing their boobs up and stuff.
Michael pulls up and jumps out of the car, apologizing for being late on Roslyn's one night out, and he even offers himself up for strangulation.
Well, Joanie takes him up on it, but Roslyn just gives him a frosty reception. She walks off without saying anything.
Yep, this is Roslyn's night out, whether it's with Michael or without.
Well, it has to be without because someone has to stay with the baby. Then we see Joey again. He parks his Cadillac outside the diner and goes inside. And then he and his two friends, Frankie and another guy named Crazy, who you might recognize as being Nixer in the first Rebel Highway movie, Road Racers. He's back. They comb their hair in the glass facing the street. I guess it serves as a good mirror. And then they leave the diner and go hop in their Cadillac.
At least Frankie and Joey do. We find out that Crazy must be a little bit younger and they don't always take him along on their adventures.
That's a lot like Road Racers, where sometimes you see Nixer in the backseat of dude's car and sometimes you didn't.
So Roslyn and Joanie are on their way to their night out and they're giggling as they stroll along.
They're going down a stairway. It seems like they slowed the footage down as they climb down the stairs. Roslyn's taking off her demure sweater so that she's wearing a strapless dress now. And she's saying that this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, she's not sure she can go through with this. But Joanie tells her to relax and just don't act like a kid. So Michael's stuck at home with the baby, and he gets a phone call.
It's like a prank call, except for it's a man describing in pornographic detail what he's about to do to Michael's wife.
Michael hangs up on him, and we cut to the other side of the phone call, and we see that, no surprise, it's Joey calling from the club he happens to be hanging out at tonight.
He goes back to his friends to brag about his prank call.
And they send Crazy away because, again, he's too young to hang out with them.
Also, he's the fifth wheel in this upcoming date.
And this is when Roslyn and Joanie walk in. They go with their respective partners and they dance to Beneath the Reef by John and the Night Riders.
It appeared to me that they were doing a little dirty dancing here. I don't know if it's period accurate or not. It was very seductive kind of dancing. Now we're back at the apartment with Michael, and he's wondering where the heck his wife is. Seconds later, we see Joanie and Roslyn running into frame. Roslyn's putting her sweater back on for appearance sake.
Michael asks her how she got home. She says the bus, but Michael was watching and he didn't see her get off the bus. She explains that she got off a block early to look at a dress in a shop window. Then she accuses him of not trusting her, saying that if she was going to cheat, she wouldn't bring her best friend along to watch. Then she storms out of the room.
How do we know that? She might.
We return with Joey. He's parking his car, and as he's getting out, his wife Brenda is there to meet him. She's complaining that while she's working all day, he just cruises around. Joey tells her not to talk to him that way, especially in front of his friends. 2 sailors passing by tell him that that's no way to talk to a lady. Then Crazy runs into frame from nowhere, hops in the driver's seat of the caddy, and chases the sailors.
Yeah, he tries to run him over. It's a pretty quick chase because they end up against a fence, and then Frankie and Joey come to beat the snot out of them with iron pipes. It's very brutal.
Yeah, Joey is really going to town on one of them. After the melee, Brenda grabs Joey and kisses him and says he's crazy.
She called the sailors East Coast shit. So she didn't want them to defend her?
Then Joey and Crazy drive off, revealing the bloodied bodies of the 2 sailors that are lying in the street.
I thought it was interesting that the choice was made to make her character turned on by him beating up those guys. She seems like a glutton for punishment, being married to this guy. But we'll see a little bit more of that later.
Yeah, these guys supposed to be in the Navy? Is that what Navy officers wore in those days? Because he dresses
50s?
like Popeye the Sailor in the all white.
They look like they're in the movie Anchors Away. Look like they're sailors in the Navy in World War II. They leave Brenda to walk home alone, too. Once again, I have to wonder what she gets out of this marriage. We get a quick scene at the apartment where Roslyn and Michael are no longer sharing their bed. Actually, it was a pull-out bed, which now Roslyn's in alone and Michael's sleeping in a chair. Things are on the rocks.
The next day when Michael comes home, he sees Joanie, so he gets out to talk to her. He asks her what's new and how's Bobby, and he's sure that she's heard about him and Roslyn. Joanie said that whatever it is between him and his wife, and it's none of her business. But Michael thought that since they've all known each other since they were kids, that they could have a heart-to-heart talk.
Michael wants to know what Roslyn has told her, but Joanie plays dumb. Roslyn hasn't told her anything. Michael explodes with anger and says that he wants to know what's going on with you 2. Then Joanie explodes right back because she thinks that Michael's insinuating that she's cheating on Bobby. I don't know how she got that from what he said, unless she's just trying to deflect him.
But then she suddenly calms down, tells Michael he's a fool, and that he's lucky to have a girl like Roslyn. She loves him. Roslyn's always telling Joanie that. As they're talking, Roslyn's coming up the walk, and they quiet down as she reaches them.
Which she finds suspicious, because the tension is there, and Joanie asks Roslyn to accompany her to the grocery store, so she turns her pram around and they walk off.
If it's okay with Michael.
I guess it is, because they go. Then we see a weird second or two of Roslyn and Joanie on a dreamy double date with Frankie and Joey. It's a weird soft focus scene of just the car moving somewhere.
And so while this is going on, back at home, Michael is hiring a babysitter. He's going to leave the baby with somebody while he goes out to look for Roslyn.
Then we see Joey and Roslyn sharing a romantic moonlit stroll on the beach. I'm not sure what nonsense they're talking about, but it leads to Joey complimenting her boobs. And then a sandy seduction.
Though she's reluctant, he does convince her to remove her dress. He asks how many times a week she does it with Michael. Her dress is now gone and she's covering herself with her hands, and Joey asks her to take her hands down. He says he appreciates it. Then he takes off his own clothes and he lays down on the ground. She's starting to beg, and he tells her that he'll call her when he wants her. Then he does, and she joins him in the sand.
And they do it cowgirl style on the beach. We assume we don't actually have to watch it, thank goodness. Michael's out driving around, but he's unable to locate his wife. But we see her later.
Yeah, after their trysts, Roslyn and Joanie head for home, both giggling, and Michael jumps out from the shadows.
Kind of scary.
Where were you, he asks. I was looking for you. Joanie tells Roslyn to run. He's crazy.
And then she mounts him as Roslyn runs to the door.
Michael tells Joanie to stay out of his marriage. Then Joanie backs Michael against the gate and climbs him.
That was a weird scene.
What do you give me to stay away, she asks. He pushes her off him and starts to yell. Bobby comes out, and Michael tells him to keep his wife away from his. By this time, a crowd is gathered because of all the racket they're making.
This scene's actually kind of funny, because I didn't expect this to happen. And an old man grumbles that someone should call the cops. And then we hear sirens immediately.
Michael says he could prove to Bobby that their women have been cheating on them. He drags him over to Roslyn, who has retrieved their baby by now and is standing outside their apartment.
Michael tries to get Roslyn to confirm Joanie's cheating ways. She says nothing, but Bobby's able to read between the lines. And then he pushes past the crowd. And at the same time, we see the babysitter silently taking her leave as well.
And Michael apologizes to Roslyn for the scene.
Now I think we have some quick cuts. We see Bobby taking off with his suitcase. He's had it. And then Joanie celebrates that she's single for real now.
So sometime later, Joanie is waiting outside the building with the baby buggy. Michael sees her from the window. Roslyn heads out, and Michael asks her where she's going. She can't go outside. Joanie's out there. She's screwing up their marriage. Roslyn tells Michael that he really messed things up between Joanie and Bobby, and maybe the time apart will do them some good. But she's not going to abandon her friend in this time of need.
And she tells Michael that maybe Joanie's not the one who's messing up their marriage. And after that, Michael moves out.
Joanie is watching from the window, and Roslyn is sitting in a chair feeling sorry for herself.
And one of the neighbor ladies is outside providing color commentary for what's going on in this dual marriage drama for our sakes.
As Michael drives away, Joanie says, "You did it." And Joanie assures Roslyn that this is what they both wanted. "I know," says Roslyn.
Joanie looks triumphant, but Roslyn looks a lot less so.
Roslyn asks Joanie why she's still looking out the window, and Joanie says she's looking out the window to make sure they don't come back.
Is she? Now it's nighttime, and we're out with Michael. He's driving around as we hear that same jazz song playing, and he spots Lorraine walking down the sidewalk. So he's not looking for his wife, he's looking for something for himself now.
He follows her into a smoky nightclub where light jazz music is playing. Michael takes a seat at the bar and orders scotch on the rocks. Then he sees Lorraine sitting at a table across the room. As Michael takes a drink, he hears the door open behind him and turns just as she leaves.
So he missed his opportunity. Now it's daytime. You hear a seagull cawing as Joanie and Roslyn are back on the boardwalk with their babies. Joanie's excited and braless. Woohoo!
Yeah, she's celebrating her freedom by not wearing a bra.
Well, that's the tradition.
Roslyn reminds her that they have to pick up the kids by 6, so they're only free until then.
But Joanie's happy that they're free till then. To her, this is a first. She actually gets to do whatever she wants. And now let's visit Joey's apartment and find out what he's like at home. It's not pretty.
Joey is sitting at a table, shirtless and smoking a cigarette, where Brenda comes out dressed for a day of work. She asks him why he's wearing pants. Is he afraid she's going to jump him? Or is he maybe going to look for a job today? He says he'll look for a job when he feels like looking for a job.
Yeah, he's not one of those office job kind of types. And then she tells him, well, then you better find a field to plow because I'm pregnant.
Joey is extremely angry to hear this. What, are you stupid or something? But Brenda says that she figured a kid will keep him company all day.
Yeah, you can be a stay-at-home dad. That's a job.
Joey demands that she pour him some coffee. She refuses, saying she's got to go to work. But as she walks out the door, she turns to tell him that she's not really pregnant.
And that she'd never bring his bastard into the world.
And he needs to ease up.
Now Michael's back at the jazz club, hoping to see Lorraine again. And he does. Unfortunately, she's not alone. But her companions don't stay for very long.
Michael stands to leave, but noticing Lorraine is now alone at her table, he sits back down and decides to order another drink. She gets up to use the ladies' room, so he goes to her table to wait for her.
When she comes back, she's actually happy to see him.
She asks what he's doing on this side of the river. "I'm looking for you," he says, and she is pleased to hear this.
And then the two of them close down the club. They stay so long, they've worn out the musicians. Then they start making out at the table and basically are asked to leave by the staff.
They do seem to have more chemistry than Michael and Roslyn do.
Yeah, they do, actually, but...
They don't have a kid.
Right. This is only their first scene together. Give it time. After they're kicked out of the club, they go walking. We see them the next morning. It's dawn. They're walking down the train tracks.
She trips and tells him that he's supposed to catch her when she falls, so he picks her up and carries her the rest of the way.
Luckily, she's very skinny. So they go to her shack by the train tracks.
It's like a loft. It's an artist's loft.
Okay, it's an artist's loft, but it is by the train tracks.
And the sex is had.
And this one we do have to watch a good deal of. We see boobs, we see Jared Leto's butt. It seems to last a really long time, which is good for us because we're catching up on our notes, but I wouldn't have minded if they just edited that out.
That evening, he wakes up saying, "Roslyn." Lorraine says, "Hey, it's just me." Then she does a line of coke. Michael asks what kind of dinner that is, and she says it's expensive.
So I guess everyone went to sleep, or maybe not. Next morning, we see Lorraine splattering paint on a giant canvas, wearing only the black satin bedsheet that they were just having sex on.
Suddenly, two guys walk in. This is Jack and his buddy Neil.
Jack seems to know Michael, but the reverse isn't true.
Jack places Michael right away just based on Lorraine's description of him.
But he does it in a very florid, writerly kind of way because, well, he's a writer.
Neil doesn't say anything, but he tries really hard to steal the scene because he's acting out what seems to be Jack's thought process as he's saying this.
He's got a lot of expressions to show us. But the way Jack's describing him is on the verge of being insulting. He's describing him as a piece of Americana, mentions something about Iwo Jima, basically calling him boring, I think.
And Lorraine explains all this by just saying that Jack is a writer.
I guess that gives you license to be rude.
So Lorraine's going to go pour them all some coffee. Jack flings himself down on a bed, and Michael goes to Lorraine and asks how long these guys are going to be staying. Lorraine says she doesn't know, but Jack lives here, so it could be a while. And Michael is confused by this. He thought that But Lorraine interrupts him. "Just because you sleep with a guy once doesn't mean you're on a track to marriage." "What does that make you?" says Michael. "I'm out of here."
And the implication is it makes her a whore, which will become important later. And now we find ourselves, where were we? Is this like a grain silo or the water treatment plant? There's tanks and pipes and... Anyway, it's deserted, it's nighttime, they're alone, and they're doing a drug deal. Or so this guy thinks.
Yeah, this is Joey, Frankie, and Crazy.
Well, we don't see the other two yet.
The deal goes bad and ends with another guy getting brained by another pipe.
Well, apparently this guy wanted money for the drugs he gave Joey, and Joey's like, nah. And so he throws a punch, knocks the guy out of the car, and then Frankie and Crazy appear from nowhere and just beat the crap out of this guy.
Then the three of them drive off. Next we see that Joey and Roslyn have gotten together once again. Not sure where they are. It might be a hotel.
It could be Joey's place, but I don't have enough context clues to tell you.
Frankie and Joanie are in the car outside making out. Roslyn's in bed and Joey is in the bathroom throwing up. Roslyn asks what's wrong, and he explains it's Brenda, his wife. He says that she never forbade him from seeing Roslyn, but she took all his money and said if he did see her again, she'd burn all his clothes. He's got beautiful clothes.
He really likes those clothes. Even though Roslyn's ready for a first or second round of sex, Joey's got to go. Roslyn's very disappointed at this.
But he does drive everybody home. Joanie and Frankie are in the back seat, and Roslyn's up front with him.
He tells Roslyn to get out, and then Roslyn drags Joanie out with her.
Roslyn asks Joey if he'd like to come in for some coffee, but Joey says he has to go home and teach his wife a lesson.
He orders Roslyn out, and Joanie too. Frankie wants to go with her, but Joey tells him that he needs him as backup and pulls him back into the car. Roslyn tries to get back in the car to give Joey a kiss goodbye, and he starts driving off with her hanging out of the car. It really could have hurt her, and he snarls at her to get out of his way.
In the next scene, Michael is returning to Lorraine's, and he walks in to find Jack pointing a gun toward him.
Yeah, he almost walks in the crossfire.
Jack is shooting at a target on the wall and tells Michael that it's really a good idea to knock before entering a room.
He noticed that she's packing a bag and asks where she's going. She jokes that she's going to open a whorehouse in New York and that she's going away with Jack. And Michael's really surprised at this. People like her don't believe in marriage and babies and TV and Joseph McCarthy.
She says that Roslyn is fighting for freedom. She didn't do anything wrong. Lorraine and Michael had a good time together, but Michael can't even enjoy it because somewhere deep down in his mind, it was dirty. And since that's the way he feels, she'll send him the bill.
You know, because she's a prostitute. And then she leaves.
So now this is Neil's apartment.
Now it's daytime, and Joey is dropping Roslyn off at home. He picked her up at the grocery store, perhaps? He asks if she wants help with her groceries, and she says no. I guess all is forgiven between these two lovebirds.
She does say she hasn't seen him in a while, and he tells her to meet him at the boardwalk in an hour.
And wear something pretty. And she agrees.
So next we see Roslyn sitting on a bench by the boardwalk, waiting for Joey.
She's all dolled up, looking around, but he's not there.
Well, he's nearby. Joey pulls up, stays a distance away, and just watches her. Time passes by.
The sun sets.
A guy propositions her, and she decides it must be time to walk home.
Joey is still there watching her, saying that all women are dumb to the core, while lighting a cigarette.
So Roslyn is feeling sorry for herself again and is with Joanie and reminiscing about all the good times that she and Michael used to have.
Oh, now she misses him?
Even though the sex was bad.
But at least he was a good dad. The way he threw little Mike up in the air, well, it was like nobody else could do.
Roslyn says that she and Joanie both experienced true love, but didn't even realize it. But Joanie sees this as a good thing, a natural progression. But Roslyn thinks it means that they really screwed up, and she decides to call Michael and fix this.
We hear her call. No one's speaking back. We know it's 1950, whatever, so she's not leaving a message on an answering machine, but she begs Michael to come home.
Did you hear rings? You probably did.
No, we didn't hear anything.
We didn't, but I mean in the 50s you would have.
Maybe. I wasn't alive then. I didn't make any phone calls till at least the 70s. But as she's monologuing, we see Michael coming home with his bag.
So now we're at Nick's diner where Joey, Frankie, and Crazy are sitting at the counter. Frankie casually tells Joey that his girl's cheating on him. Which one? Asks Joey. Does it matter? Says Frankie. Nick, the Greek diner owner, is very interested in this conversation because he wants to know who would have the nerve to screw around with one of Joey's girls. Frank says he saw Michael and Roslyn together last night.
And then Nick the Greek changes his tune. They're married. A married guy can sleep with his own wife, but Joey doesn't agree.
So Joey goes to the phone to give Roslyn a call. He convinces her to get Joanie to babysit and to come down to the diner so they can talk this out. She tries to call out the fact that she hasn't seen him in a while, not mentioning that she's actually back with her husband, but he explains that he had to stay with Brenda because she was going to kill herself over her.
And she can't fault him for that. And now we see Roslyn leaving her baby with flaky Joanie, who tries to feed the baby, and the baby just rears back. That was really funny. I don't think that was intentional, but it was hilarious.
So Roslyn goes to the diner and tells Joey that it's over, and don't call her, she'll call him.
In front of his friends, she tells him this.
Then Roslyn returns home and tells Joanie that she did it. It's over between her and Joey. Good, says Joanie. Play hard to get. Roslyn says Joanie just doesn't understand. What they did was stupid. Just then Michael appears in the doorway and asks if either of the girls has a match. Both girls rush to their purses to accommodate, and Roslyn finds one first.
She hands Michael the matchbook. I'm only saying this because it matters.
Joanie has to go home and get Bobby's dinner ready anyway. So they're back together too.
No one has any pride in this movie.
So now Joey, Frank, and Crazy are driving around in front of Rosalind's apartment, laughing that Rosalind actually said, "Don't call me, I'll call you." Crazy's just happy he's allowed to go along for the ride this time. Joey starts driving back and forth between parked cars, screeching his tires, and getting the attention of everyone in the building.
Inside her apartment, Roslyn hears the screeching tires and shouting outside.
Joanie calls Rosalind to ask if she's seeing this. When she hangs up, Michael asks who that was on the phone. Outside, Crazy stands up in the back seat and yells out, "Roslyn!" Michael goes out to investigate. Roslyn tries to stop him, saying Joey will kill him.
But Michael's not listening to her. Joey takes off and Michael jumps in his car to follow. And a high-speed chase ensues.
It ends when Joey does a Yui and they end up playing a game of chicken. Michael pulls over and lights a cigarette. Then he looks at the matches that Roslyn handed him earlier. They're from Nick's Diner. But the thing is, Roslyn shouldn't have matches at all. She doesn't smoke.
Wow, good deduction. So Michael takes off. To where else? Nick's Diner.
Where Joey, Frank, and Crazy are celebrating. Joey goes to the phone again and calls Roslyn, demanding that she come down there. She tells him no, they're through. "No," says Joey, "we're through when I say we're through. So you're going to come down here every night or he'll kill Michael."
And this commotion that they're causing chases off all of Nick's clientele. So it just leaves the three guys sitting at the counter. After Joey hangs up, he rips the phone off the wall to Nick's dismay.
How's he going to call Roslyn?
He's not going to call her again. She's on her way down. He threatened her husband. This is a weird scene.
It's framed oddly. Roslyn is crouched in a corner after her phone call, and Joanie is there, trying to tell Roslyn that the best thing for her to do is to go down there and confront Joey and edit Once and For All, which is exactly what she did last time she saw him.
And that didn't work. So weird advice. And yeah, it's shot from above. And also Alicia Silverstone in this scene is kind of wheezing and she just sounds really weird. At the diner, the boys are once again celebrating.
Joey declares it's a perfect evening and Frankie calls for a toast to perfection.
And now that's over and we're back with Michael, who's going to Lorraine's old place to steal that gun.
Yeah, he just runs in, grabs the gun and runs out. Neil's there half asleep. He said, "That's cool." He owns the place now.
But not the gun. So now poor dumb Roslyn arrives at the diner. She goes in. We don't see her anymore. We're still looking at the street. And a few seconds later, Michael parks. But when he gets to the diner, there's a lot going on that happened in just a few seconds.
Joey's not taking this breakup very well. He's grabbed Roslyn by the hair and he's pulling her out as Michael comes in.
The other guys grab Michael so that he can't stop Joey.
And Joey drags Roslyn out to his car and they drive off. As Joey tries to drive off, Michael breaks free, runs to the car and tries to jump in, but he's thrown off. So they're driving down the highway. Roslyn is screaming for Michael as Joey molests her as he goes.
Michael's following, and he catches up to see Joey pulling off her clothes. He's either got the scarf around her neck or her bra or her shirt. He's pulling some article of clothing back, restraining Roslyn. And remember, he's in a convertible, but Michael's not. So it's pretty obvious what's going on in the car that Joey's in.
Michael pulls up next to them and points the gun at them.
But he doesn't have a clear shot.
Joey loses control of the car and drives up a dirt pile.
It's a really big pile of loose dirt, and he gets stranded on top of it.
So he and Roslyn stumble from the car.
Separately.
From their respective seats.
They fall into the dirt pile.
Michael jumps out of his car, runs up, and just beats the crap out of Joey, probably with the butt of his gun.
Well, he puts the gun in his mouth eventually and threatens to pull the trigger. Both Joey and Roslyn are begging Michael not to shoot.
And this lasts for a really long time. It's almost as long as that sex scene.
There's so much screeching going on. I can't even tell what she's saying.
Michael cocks the gun to extend the suspense. And Joey is in tears and begging for his life.
Michael starts laughing and takes the gun out of Joey's mouth, leaving Joey sniveling in the dirt. He goes over to Roz, and he seems to be kind of manhandling her, throwing her into the backseat of his car. She's really upset, still screeching.
So next we see an hysterical Joey goes back to the diner. He tells Frankie, "Come on, we're going to shoot him." But that's too much for Frankie. He's out.
And Crazy too. But there's somebody else there.
The guy from the earlier drug deal is there, and he's brought a friend.
And as Frankie and Crazy disappear, the drug dealer and his friend start choking him with piano wire or something. And we back out to just an exterior shot of the diner, and the lights go out. I guess Joey got murdered.
I wonder if Nick is okay.
He probably just let them do it. It's best not to interfere in these kinds of things.
Take it outside. I don't want to clean this up.
Well, they didn't take it outside, but he probably took himself outside. Then again, who else would turn out the lights?
So Michael takes Roslyn back home. Roslyn supposes that he won't be coming up with her, and he says, yeah, they aren't going steady anymore. But they can make a deal. She can take care of little Mike, and he will send her as much money as he can every week. and he'll come by and pick him up on the weekends and give her a break. And maybe she can get a job, get out of the house once in a while and make new friends.
Roslyn says that they probably never should have gotten married. They were friends, and that's one thing, but being married is different. It's all very civil. But there's something weird going on in this scene that's never explained.
Yeah, as we pull back from the car, we see a silhouette on the car, and it's...
Probably Joanie?
It's Joanie's shadow. She's just casually smoking and, I guess, listening to this conversation.
But we never see Joanie, just this weird silhouette. And then Michael drives off, and we still never see Joanie, because by now, Roslyn has run into her apartment. And this is all done as a voiceover. And I think that this was added later, perhaps on advice from the producers, because Roslyn says, "You're cool, Michael," right before the end. And I think they did that just so that we could justify the title Cool and the Crazy.
So Michael drives away, and as he drives away, Blues Traveler sings I'm Walkin'.
We get a weird montage of black and white production stills right before the credits. And it's pretty easy to tell that Blues Traveler is doing this version of I'm Walking, because they have a very distinct style. And that's the end.
You're listening to the American International Podcast, where we're talking about Rebel Highway Episode 9, Cool and the Crazy, from 1994.
Like John Milius, who directed Motorcycle Gang for the Rebel Highway series, Ralph Bakshi had worked with American International before he was tapped to direct a Rebel Highway episode. After the original distributor folded, AIP released his film Fritz the Cat from 1972. They also produced his movie Heavy Traffic, which came out in 1973.
Susan King of the Los Angeles Times interviewed Bakshi for a column about the Rebel Highway series, and he reflected on his memories of the 1950s. The 50s are my whole life, Bakshi says, laughing. Everything is 50s with me. In the 50s, kids got married very young, so that's what the story's really about, the fatality of getting married at 18 and 19 and being a working father at 20. Because there was so little pre-production time, Bakshi flew out from New York on his own time and money to scout locations. You'd be surprised how fast you can shoot a movie. Laurel and Hardy did it. All those silent film guys, they started in the business shooting that way and made great films. And coming off the 1992 live-action animated fiasco Cool World, which was produced by Paramount, Bakshi was happy not to be involved in a big-budget feature. I waited 2 days for them to light a scene in Cool World, he says. I wanted to jump off a cliff. Doing Cool and the Crazy reminded him of how he made his early animated films Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic. I didn't have the money Disney had, he said, but what we had was the passion to do something.
According to the 2008 book Unfiltered, The Complete Ralph Bakshi by John M. Gibson, Bakshi began developing what would become Cool and the Crazy in the late 1960s. He wrote a script titled If I Catch Her, I'll Kill Her, and in the 1970s, United Artists and Paramount Pictures each paid Bakshi to develop the film. Ultimately, those studios were unwilling to produce his script. The studios Bakshi pitched the film to in the 1980s also passed on it. According to Bakshi, they thought no one was going to admit that women can and do cheat on their husbands. They thought it was too hot, which made no sense. In 1993, producer Lou Arkoff approached Bakshi to write and direct a low-budget feature for Showtime's Rebel Highway series. For the third time, Bakshi revisited his screenplay for If I Catch Her, I'll Kill Her, and retitled the film Cool and the Crazy, the title of the 1958 AIP release. This is Bakshi's first and, well, as far as I know, only feature-length, live-action, non-rotoscoped film.
Variety's review said, Everything in Cool, the ninth of Showtime's 10-pick Rebel Highway series, seems to exist in pastels, and Bakshi shoots more from odd angles than any director since Sidney J. Furie in his heyday. And the closing sequences ably demonstrate how it's possible to present strong violence without any blood being shed on screen. Bakshi pulls strong perfs from a cadre of youngish and largely unknown actors, and Leto could be this week's young Martin Sheen.
In David Bianculli's TV Tonight column, he wrote, This is the telemovie for MTV fans, because it stars Alicia Silverstone, star of the movie The Crush, as well as 3 memorably libidinous Aerosmith videos. In this movie, she plays a bored housewife who has an affair with a reckless hoodlum, as though there's any other kind.
Stephen H. Schuer wrote in his Today in TV column, There are few things worse than having to sit through the affairs of a bunch of petulant, oversexed youngsters, and that's about all that director and writer Ralph Bakshi offers here. Silverstone acts as if her crowning ambition is to land a job vamping it up as a Melrose Place vixen.
There's nothing wrong with that. Melrose Place was awesome. Obviously, this was done before Clueless, because they don't mention that. So she was largely unknown at this point.
Well, everybody knew about the Aerosmith videos.
Although she had done some features before Clueless, she wasn't the sensation she was after Clueless.
I think that she was kind of a sensation. That's what got her Clueless, because The Crush was kind of a big deal when that came out, too.
Well, maybe it's just my love of the movie Clueless that makes me think that Alicia Silverstone became huge after that. And I wouldn't say she was huge because of some Aerosmith videos.
Well, I think we disagree on that then. because Clueless was also as huge as she ever got, because after that she was Batgirl and she hasn't done a lot of note since.
Well, she was in Blast from the Past, which was kind of big.
Kinda, maybe.
But you're right. She became huge for a moment in the 90s. But a lot of people remember the movie Clueless, maybe not you, but a lot of people who are like me absolutely adore that movie. And in fact, they've revisited Clueless for a recent Super Bowl commercial, and they're reviving it. She's going to come back as, I guess, a mom in a updated version or a sequel to that movie. I think it's a series, not a movie, but someone's doing an update with that character. It's iconic.
But it has nothing to do with the movie we're talking about here. We're talking about Cool and the Crazy. So what'd you think of that one?
This movie is kind of a mess. 2 weeks ago, we covered Drag Strip Girl, which was the first disappointing movie in the Rebel Highway series for both of us. And this one's kind of a setback too for me. I don't know if it's that bad because it's not so cliched, but I don't know what to make of this story. There's so much going on. None of it feels authentic to the 50s, but it's still kind of interesting.
Well, I think that the title barely works here. And as you said, it sounds like it was dropped in later. I think that it was probably last minute script changes to add the cool and the crazy within the dialogue, because it doesn't really fit the story.
Well, there's a lot of crazy in this movie.
There's a lot of crazy, but there's not a lot of cool.
There's no cool in this movie. That last line, like I said, I think was just shoehorned in just to justify the fact that they're using this title. I don't know what AIP title might have been better.
I don't think anything. I think that the only reason that this was produced is because Ralph Bakshi had the script that he wanted to produce for decades, and he had a chance to get it financed, so he went for it. And it was shoehorned into this, and it's really a shame that it became an episode of Rebel Highway because it doesn't really fit with a theme.
And even though it was written in the 60s, although I'm sure he rewrote it somewhat since then, it doesn't feel period at all. It feels like a bunch of crazy teenagers. Well, I guess it could be set in any era.
Yeah, it's not really married to the 50s, but the appliances definitely look 50s. And some of the set pieces.
Michael and Roslyn's kitchen is so 1950s, and it's really nice looking. It's dingy and drab, but it's very period authentic to me.
One thing that I really liked that I thought they did really well was the needle drops. Because the songs that they play, they're authentic to the time period, but they're also not the hits. They're these more obscure songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting choice.
They do that in several of these movies. I think they pull a lot of unexpected songs for the soundtrack that you just wouldn't necessarily imagine when you're thinking of 50s music.
Excluding Shake, Rattle, and Rock, because that was the hits. Because they had Eddie Cochran as a character.
That's a jukebox movie, so yeah, makes sense. It was set at a American Bandstand type television show. So yeah, they'd have to use real hits. But the wardrobe isn't really 50s to me. There's so many sleeveless dresses and strappy tank tops in the wardrobe for these movies, at least the past few. Jailbreakers was another one where Shannon Doherty looked like she took her wardrobe from her own closet. It didn't seem 50s authentic at all. And this one is probably the second worst offender in that.
They just have the old cars and I guess the old appliances and think that's enough to make it 50s authentic.
And the language in this movie is so 90s. There's so much swearing. You know, we try not to swear too much in this podcast. It was a little hard to avoid it because the F-bomb comes out a lot. There's a lot of S words. It's very sweary. It's very violent. I think this was worse than Jailbreakers in terms of violence because it's so pointless.
Yeah, they just keep beating up people with pipes for no real reason.
Those poor sailors, they were just trying to be nice to a woman and they got beat to death in a parking lot.
Well, they were dressed funny.
So they were asking for it?
You did call them pretty boys.
I just felt like a mishmash. A little bit of 50s, a little bit of 60s, a little bit of 70s, a little bit of 80s, a little bit of 90s. And it just didn't really have that flow that kept me in the story. And speaking of actors before they hit it big, Jared Leto wasn't really huge when this movie came out. I thought that review where someone thought he could be the next Martin Sheen was really funny. I don't see him that way at all. Like, this is Apocalypse Now.
Well, Badlands maybe.
Oh, is this his Badlands? I don't think so. This was before My So-Called Life, which is, again, you know, I'm a girl. That was a girl show from the 90s. He was a dreamboat boy in that show, although I personally hated his character because he was a jerk. But it's kind of funny to see him here. He's got so much baggage now, but here he's this fresh, young teenage face. And I think he comes off pretty well. He's one of the better actors in this, in my opinion. Not that there's a lot of good acting.
Yeah, I think I would agree, although a lot of it seems not to have a lot of emotion behind it. He gets angry, he gets frustrated, but I don't think he even really shows it.
Well, I think that's the way guys were trained to be, though. He's so traditional, and he's not supposed to show his emotions. He's not supposed to be Marlon Brando yelling, Stella! He's stoic, and he keeps it all inside. I think that the way that everybody kind of forgave all the cheating was pretty unrealistic, but at least he did get angry. At least he did have a reaction. I don't know about Bobby. He wasn't really a character, so it's not fair to judge his reactions. He didn't really get a lot of screen time, but Michael was pretty forgiving, although they did ultimately break up. But one other performance I wanted to mention was Jennifer Blanc as Joanie. In Jailbreakers, I mentioned a movie that Shannon Doherty was in, a Lifetime movie from, I think it was the year 2000, called Friends to the End. And there's this single white female story where some girl is stealing Shannon Doherty's boyfriend and her life, her sorority, her position in a band. And that girl was Jennifer Blanc. And like I said, I really like that movie. It's so cheesy, but it's awesome. And so it was kind of funny seeing her in the very next movie. And she's got a really familiar face. Like, you know, you've seen her in a bunch of stuff, but her acting is so frenetic. It was the same way in Friends to the End. She's just so crazy. I don't know if she has any other modes as an actor, but it was kind of fun seeing her.
Yeah, I think it was clear that her character, Joanie, got married too young because she wasn't done living her young lifestyle yet, whereas Roslyn was more resigned to hers.
She was until Joanie started putting other thoughts into her head.
Well, Joanie's a bad influence.
She's a very bad influence.
But Joanie is more the kind of person you want to hang out with, at least if you're single.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely going to be your wingman, your wingwoman. But yeah, this very toxic relationship.
And Roslyn fell into the myth of the white picket fence and family and stuff, and they didn't have the money to even pull that off. They were just living in a one-room apartment.
Yeah, it was kind of a sad life, and I can understand her frustration. You think everything's going to be roses and romance, and then you find out it's really scrubbing a lot of floors, cleaning up a lot of baby barf, and changing diapers, and not getting to see your husband very much because only one of you's got a job and someone has to make the money to pay the bills. And it's a really depressing lifestyle that I personally could never have lived and didn't. So I can see why she was upset. But yeah.
And it appears that Joanie has a baby too because she's pushing around a baby buggy. We never see that baby. Nobody seems to be staying home with that baby.
Unless Bobby was there, because he does come back, and they do have a babysitter. But yeah, the babies were sort of ignored when they were inconvenient to the plot. And I don't know how they had money for all this, especially once they were separated. Because at the end, Michael's like, well, I'll send you money when I can.
Yeah, what was she doing up till then?
Yeah, they didn't have much to begin with. And now they have two separate households. How are they living?
We never even see where Michael's living.
Maybe he lived in his car or at the shop.
That's why he was so anxious to hook up with Lorraine, because at least she had a place.
And that's why he was so bummed when he found out someone else was sleeping in her bed. I was going to sleep there. I don't know how I feel about this movie.
Well, you better figure out quickly because it's time for you to rate it using our AIP scale, where A is awesome, I is intermediate, and P is pathetic.
I kind of feel bad that I gave Drag Strip Girl a P. It's the only pathetic rating I've given any of these movies. They were all awesome until then. And last week, we both liked Jailbreakers, but now we're kind of stuck with Cool and the Crazy. It's not great. It's not an A, that's for sure. So I guess I'm thinking, is it mediocre or is it pathetic? I think I'm going to go with mediocre. My problem with Drag Strip Girl was that it was so cliche and they didn't put a lot of thought into it. They didn't put a lot of characterization into it. It was a very flat movie. This movie is the opposite of flat. It's actually too much at times. But at least it's entertaining, colorful, the music is poppin'. I do like the women in this movie. I thought their performances were great. I'm going to give it an I for intermediate. It hits in the middle for me. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, this was a tough one to grade simply because it's part of the Rebel Highway series. So we're comparing it to the other episodes, and it's different than any of the others. There's no camp here. It's just high drama. So it's not a fun movie.
No.
And when compared to the others, it's going to be hurt. It takes a hit because of that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I didn't give Drag Strip Girl a P. I left myself some wiggle room and gave that one an I. And if I was grading this on a scale with the rest of the Rebel Highways, it would probably be a hair below Drag Strip Girl. But as a movie on its own, I think it's okay. I'm going to give it an I. But it's just kind of disappointing that it is part of the Rebel Highway series because it definitely hurts the film.
Do you think it would have been better if he had taken some elements from the original Cool and the Crazy, which had drug deals in it?
I don't know what he could have pulled from that into this story. It's just a totally different story. And the fact that it wasn't even intended to be Rebel Highway makes it stand out like a sore thumb.
True.
I think it could have used another rewrite maybe and added some camp elements to it so that it fit better within the theme.
and it needs to be funny. It wasn't even unintentionally funny. I like to have a laugh here and there. It doesn't have to be hysterical. But we did get a good laugh in Drag Strip Girl when that car ran the poor kid in the wheelchair off that cliff. I mean, it was done so poorly. It's not that the kid died. It's that it was done so poorly.
Well, that's kind of the thing. You can make a film. It could be a very good film. But if it's not fun to watch, you're not going to watch it again. Whereas a mediocre film that's at least fun, you might revisit. So I don't think I'll be watching this one again, but I'm still going to give it an eye.
That's kind of where I thought you were going to go too. Hey, we have a website. It's aippod.com. We have so much on there for you. Trailers, posters, lobby cards, information about the films that we've covered, links to the episodes. We have a way that you can contact us, and we have a list of movies that we're looking for that maybe you can help us with. We are going to need them for future episodes of the show, and we'd love it if you can help us. Check us out at aippod.com.
So as we head back onto the Rebel Highway, we take one last look at Cool and the Crazy through our cracked rearview mirror, and invite you to come with us next week for our final stop on our Rebel Highway summer road trip. Until then, I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And we'll meet you at the drive-in. Follow the American International Podcast on Instagram and Letterboxd at AIP_pod and on Facebook at facebook.com/American International Podcast.
The American International Podcast is produced and edited by Jeff Markin.
A man whose mind is distorted by hatred.
And Cheryl Lightfoot.
A girl hungry for too many things.
The American International Podcast is part of the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.